Hola, ¿cómo estás? We are going to be getting into a structure called Hace. Okay, now this is a little confusing, and I don't want you to feel like that by the end of this, so hopefully you won't. First of all, we need to talk about when we use it. So it's used to discuss how long that you've done something for or how long you've been doing something. For example, I've been studying Spanish for 16 years, so you could use this structure to tell you that. You can also use it to talk about how long since you've done something. For example, I haven't watched TV in 9 hours. Now, before we get into the structure, it is probably a good idea to talk about some different expressions of time that you're going to be using. So just to review these real quick, el segundo, second, el minuto, minute, another cognado here, hora, hour, dia, day. Might want to pause it real quick. If you don't have these, I'm going to throw up the other ones too. Okay, here we have the rest. La semana, week, el mes, month, el año, year, el siglo, century. Okay, with ACK, I want you to think of it as a math equation because frequently you're going to get off track if you forget that you have to plug in these different elements, okay? So here are your equations on your paper. We have cuánto tiempo hace que, and then our subject or verb phrase, okay? This is used to ask how long you've been doing something, or if we throw the no in there, how long it's been since you've done something. To answer that question, you can see the two structures below. We have hace que. Okay, now it's called hace que because these two components need to be in your answer. So we have hace, we use our time period, que, and then our subject verb phrase. Okay, or if you're doing the how long it's been since you've done something, you're going to want to throw a no in there in between your subject and your verb phrase. Okay, we're going to start a little slow here. You can see that you have 5 example sentences on your note sheet. Okay, you're going to fill in the blank with the appropriate amount of time that applies. Okay, so let's do a couple of these together. Número 1, hace blank que la señora estudia español. So remember, this is used to talk about how long that you've been doing something, or in this case, la señora. So how long has the woman been teaching or studying Spanish? In this case, let's use me for an example. I have been studying Spanish for 18 years, okay? So, since I've been studying Spanish for 18 years, I'm going to use hace. Next comes my time period, so it would be 18 años. Okay, you're going to have to squeeze that one in there. So, hace 18 años que la señora estudia español. Or, the woman's been studying Spanish for 18 years, okay? Take a look at número 2. Hace blank que estudio español. So here we're talking about yourself. So think about how long that you've been studying Spanish, and I want you to plug that in. Okay, por ejemplo, if you've only been studying Spanish for, let's say, 2 years, you would say hace 2 años que estudio español. Okay, hace blank que juego a un deporte. So how long have you been playing a sport? I'm guessing a lot of you have probably been playing for a while. But let's say that you've only been practicing for maybe a few months now. Okay, so let's say 3 months. Hace 3 meses que juego a un deporte. Okay, so I have been playing a sport for 3 months. Okay, for the last 2, fill in a time period that applies to you here. So, hace blank que vivo en Illinois. For me, I've only been living in Illinois for about 7 years. So, hace 7 años que vivo en Illinois. For you, you might say hace muchos años. So, I've been living in Illinois for many years or a lot of years. Número 5. This one, I threw in the no here, okay? So instead of talking about how long you've been doing something for, you're actually talking about how long it's been since you've done something. So how long has it been since you've done homework, okay? For example, I haven't done homework in about 2 days, so hace 2 días que no hago la tarea. Okay, if you flip your sheet over, you are going to do some practice now. Tell how long the following activities have been taking place. So here in the example, you're going to see you're given a subject, you're given an infinitive verb, or we'll also call it a verb phrase because it does have more information here. Al voleibol. And then you're given a time period, okay? So what you need to do is use this hace que structure, or the hace que no structure, okay, to be able to talk about how long the following activities have been taking place, or how long you've been doing these things, or how long other people have been doing these things. So, número 6. You are given nosotros vivir aquí en 5 años, okay? You need to start plugging in this structure that's up at the top here. Okay, in order to do that, we always need to put hace. Okay, so that's going to be the first thing that you do. Okay, remember the next thing is the time period. So in this example you have here, nosotros vivir aquí en 5 años. So for número 6, you're going to put the years, which is 5 años. Okay, so just like in the example on your sheet, we have hace, and then remember we took this time period, so 2 años. Remember the next thing that comes is the K. So you're going to want to put that down for número 6. So hace 5 años, K. And then remember on the modelo, the example that you have here, you're taking the subject and the verb, so yo, and then don't forget you need to conjugate the verb, so like in the example, juego. So your subject for número 6 is nosotros. And then remember vivir, so we need to conjugate that, vivimos aquí. Okay, which would be a perfect sentence. So we have hace 5 años que nosotros vivimos aquí, or we have been living here for 5 years. Okay, we're going to do another sentence together, and then I'm going to have you finish the rest right here for you, okay? So número 7, we have mi hermana, we have hacer aeróbicos, and we have una hora. Okay, so remember we're using this hace que structure, okay, to tell how long that your sister's been doing aerobics for. So hace, remember we plug in our time next, una hora. What comes next? Do you remember? Que. Okay, and then remember we have the subject verb phrase. So, hace una hora que mi hermana. And don't forget to conjugate your verb. So, hace aeróbicos. Okay, I would like you to finish 8, 9, and 10. Remember, follow the structure that you see at the top right here. Hace, time period, que, and then your subject verb phrase, or if you're using no, just your verb phrase right after. Okay, so finish those. We will check them in class, so we'll go over them. And then I want you to skip to the bottom real quick where you have numbers 11 through 15. Okay, because we're now going to look at the question to be able to respond. Okay, so down here you're going to see a lot of questions using this cuánto tiempo hace que. Remember, on the other side of the sheet, you have the formula for this. Cuánto tiempo hace que, and then you have your subject verb phrase, okay? Now remember, these are asking you questions, okay? Specifically, they're all in the to form, so all of them are asking you, which means you're going to respond to all of them with the yo form, okay? Now, don't forget, you're still following this hace que structure that you see written at the top still. Remember, hace, time period, que, subject verb phrase, okay? So if we take a look at number 11, ¿Cuánto tiempo hace que vives en tu ciudad? So how long have you been living in your city? Okay, now I have been living in my city for only 3 months, okay? So I would use this structure. And remember, you're going to fill in the blank with your information, not mine. Okay, remember, hace, we have our time period. So for me, it's 3 meses. Okay, you might have been living in your city for 5 years, so 5 años. You could have been living there for, I don't know, 10 years, your entire life. Okay, so I'm going to put mine in there. Hace 3 meses. And then I have my que. Right, and now this is where you're going to have the same thing as me as far as the subject and the verb. Okay, so here I have my subject, which is yo. Remember the question we have vives, okay? However, that's in the to form. So I need to change this to the yo form because I'm talking about how long that I've been doing something. So, que yo vivo in, now I could get specific here, okay, because I live in Brookfield. So I could put in Brookfield. However, you could just put the generic phrase in mi ciudad, so in my city. Okay, so this is the second part of this that you're going to be filling in. But remember, we still have the hace, we still have the que. We are not losing this structure. Okay, let's take a look at número 12. ¿Cuánto tiempo hace que estudias en este colegio? Okay, so how long have you been studying in this school? Remember, colegio is a false cognate, okay? Colegio, school, like a high school. So remember, when we're answering it, hace, okay, we need our time period. So think to yourself, how long have you been studying at this school? I'm going to guess most of you is going to be, actually, for my freshmen, maybe un mes, okay, 3 semanas. But a lot of you are probably going to put 1 or 2 years. So I'm going to put un año. So hace un año que, and remember you're answering this for yourself, yo estudio en este colegio. Okay, remember we still have hace, time period, que, and then our subject verb phrase. All right? What I would like you to do now is to finish up 13, 14, and 15. Okay, we will also go over these ones. Okay, I need to check your work to see how you're doing with this, all right? Remember, very important that you're writing down any questions. So if you have a question, write it down on the side of the paper, but try to use this structure yourself now. Okay, so remember, hace, time period, que, subject, verb, phrase. All right, try that now. Finish it up. Remember, you can pause the video, rewind it if you need to do anything, and write down any questions. Adios.